In the early years of the state, it was through military confrontation. You have this nascent infant state formed by kibbutzniks and Holocaust survivors, and conventional warfare invasion was seen as the logical way of bringing about the downfall of the state. Then we saw waves of terrorism as a way of trying to divide the society, keep international focus on the conflict at all times. That also failed to bring about the downfall of the state. So now we see this third tier, this third stage in the war on Israel, in the anti-Israel agenda, which is political warfare, which seeks to appropriate and co-opt the various organs of civil society, of government, to turn the conflict into a truly international affair and to isolate the state and bring it down in that way. So the agenda has never changed. All it's changed is the means by which it's to be carried out, and now we're in the political phase. How can it be fought? Speaking plainly and truthfully. That has an enormous effect. Calling out the hypocrisy, calling out the double standards is extremely powerful. But I'm hopeful that when you have people of good character, good standing, moral people who aren't afraid to stand up and speak the truth, you will see a change emerge.
Alex Ryvchin was born in Kiev, Ukraine. His family left the Soviet Union as refugees and refuseniks in 1987. Alex was just a little boy. He was only 3 when this happened. He's worked as a researcher and a speechwriter in the legislature. He practiced law at 2 of the world's largest law firms, one in Sydney, Australia, one in London. And then he served as a spokesman for the Zionist Federation in the UK, founded the Jewish Thinker opinion website, was awarded a prestigious Israel Research Fellowship to work as a research fellow and staff writer at a Jerusalem-based think tank. And he was abroad for 5 years. Then in 2013, he went back to Australia, joined Australia's peak Jewish representative body and premier pro-Israel advocacy group, the Executive Council of Australian Jewry, as its Director of Public Affairs. I want you to know that Alex speaks all over the place. He is deemed to be one of the leading experts on the Arab-Israeli conflict, and his work shows up globally. The Daily Telegraph, The Spectator, The Guardian, the list goes on.
My guest this hour, Alex Ryvchin, who is an author, and he is a lawyer.
And this week we also have Alex Ryvchin on to discuss his new book, The Anti-Israel Agenda Inside the Political War on the Jewish State.
From Newsmax, New York, we welcome author Alex Ryvchin.
To discuss the latest in the situation in Temple Mount crisis is Alex Ryvchin. He is the author of The Anti-Israel Agenda Inside the Political War on the Jewish State.
The tomb of Joseph there has been torched by Palestinian arsonists. The Jewish community that lived in Hebron from ancient times was brutally massacred, looted, and driven out from that city in 1929. Similar attacks occurred in Gush Etzion. We saw during the period of the Jordanian occupation of the West Bank between 1948 and 1967, we saw the whole area closed off to Jews. Jews were forbidden from going there. The Jewish cemetery, the tombstones, were upended and destroyed. Synagogues were destroyed. The Western Wall complex was used as a toilet. And then when the matter came before the General Assembly, the text of the resolution expressly referred to these previous bodies that had already endorsed it. And herein we see a key tactic of the anti-Israel movement. It relies on momentum, small, creeping, incremental steps that keep endless focus on the Palestinian agenda and create endless opportunities to debate and demonize Israel. Israel is a vibrant democracy. It's the only democracy in the Middle East. It has a very large Arab minority of about 20%. It has Arabs serving in every sector of Israeli society, from the military to its Supreme Court to its parliament. People who go there see Israel for what it is, and that is a pluralistic, open society, democratic place where people of all faiths and nations work together. So again, part of this campaign against Israel, part of this anti-Israel agenda, is to associate the state with everything that is seen as being inherently evil and wrong with this world. We hear concepts like apartheid thrown at Israel,
right,
ethnic cleansing, genocide, and it is all part of this campaign to marginalize the state, to isolate it, to drive it apart from the rest of the world, to a point where it can no longer defend its interests or its people. The metal detectors will have no bearing on the underlying causes, but if you decide to put them in and go against the advice of your security advisors in doing so, for God's sake, keep them there. Because if you look at the sequence of events, you have the slaughter of a family in the West Bank at Shabbat dinner, and shortly after that, the metal detectors come down. And the message that sends is that violence will achieve political transformation. And that is the exact opposite of the message that needs to be sent to those who would kill Israeli civilians. Europe and Israel should be natural partners in all respects, particularly insecurity. Israel stands at the vanguard of the fight against Islamic terrorism. A friend from Gaza also referenced violence by a Jewish terrorist in Hebron, Baruch Goldstein, and he's absolutely right to reference it. That did occur, and I would never deny it. But there is a core difference. When an act, a despicable act like that occurs, it is condemned roundly, and I will condemn it here without qualification. What we don't do is we don't elevate these killers and name town squares and schools after them to encourage other people to perpetrate similar acts. That is a key distinction. When you come from a place where our people were denied basic civil rights, where we were subjected to institutional racism, and now living freely in the West and being able to stand up to injustice, call out attacks on the human rights of the Jewish people, my sense is, how can I not do that?